So we've just read Whittaker Chambers' witness, where Chambers sounds the alarm of the dangers of Soviet communism. But there's an even greater alarm that he sounds, and that is, will we be able, those who live in the West, to rightly understand what Western civilization stands for, and to rightly understand the direction that it's moving in, so that we don't feel ourselves overly self-confident as to what we've done in the middle of the 20th century. We need to bear witness to the real truth of our civilization. And the real truth of our civilization he calls the oldest religion of mankind. And that is that we live in a world that's been created by a God, and that he has defined it for his purposes, for his glory, and that we are creatures within his created world, and that we ought to bow down with respect toward him. So maintaining the rightful paradigm of God at the top of our metaphysical structure in which we see the world. Now, what's going to make that difficult? What's going to make that difficult is exactly what C.S. Lewis mentioned a couple lectures ago, that if we want to view ourselves as gods, and we think we have the ability to act as gods, we might do what Hitler did. We might do what the Soviets are doing. We might want to displace God as the creative intelligence of the world. So let's turn to a novel, I think, that describes this picture very well. It may be a novel that you read in high school, and you may have read it in a different form, but here I want to bring it to a new light to you. I want this novel, which is written after World War II, to shine a light on the human experience. Golding knew well the horrors of World War II. So here he imagines in his story a group of boys, right, who have been lost on an island in the middle of the Pacific. How would human beings, innocent creatures, young creatures, how would they act with regard to one another on this island? Well, what happens in the story, right, are two main forces develop within the island. On the one hand, you have the leader, Ralph, who suggests to the boys, let's have a conch that organizes all of our activities. Let's start a fire in which we can signal to the rest of the world to come and save us. And let's be very disciplined. Let's follow some very constitutional, democratic, civilized rules as we make our way forward on this island. So Ralph is the voice of a parent, so to speak, on the island, and what a parent would have done given his memory of how his parents and other parents had organized a civilized life. But the other individual on the island is the little boy Jack, who suggests, well, now that we're on the island, let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's hunt. Let's do things that our adults or our parents would not allow us to do. Let's live freely and assert ourselves in this world. You see these two different complexions of life. One hand, let's play by the rules and live a kind of constitutional existence. The other, let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves, and let's impress ourselves upon this world rather than be made feel fearful by it. Well, I think what Golding is trying to suggest to us in these two personalities is really the West as it's incorporated in kind of the constitutional America and Western Europe, and then these kind of imbalanced types like a Hitler or a Stalin who would do what? Well, would turn the world upside down to make it fun, to assert something real in this world of danger. What's a third boy in this novel, and he becomes front and center in the chapter that I assigned to you, A Gift for Darkness, and his name is Simon. Instead of doing what Ralph wants to do and keeping the fire lit, or what Jack wants to do in hunting, Simon says, we should go to the top of this island. We should go to the mountain, and we should look down, and we should try to gain perspective about the world that we're in, about the situation that we're in. In many ways, Simon is a Christ-like character who's encouraging humanity in the middle of the 20th century to gain a greater perspective as to where we are, and with that perspective to learn what can and what cannot be accomplished in 20th and 21st century civilization. So I want to turn your attention to the end of that chapter where he meets, the title of the novel is called Lord of the Flies. He meets the Lord of the Flies. And what does the Lord of the Flies say to Simon? He says, you are a silly little boy, just an ignorant, silly little boy. Right? And that insult could be an insult given to humanity in the middle of the 20th century, that we're just silly little boys, ignorant, not knowing where we are. Well, why are we ignorant? Well, he says to Simon, fancy thinking the beast was something you could hunt and kill, said the Lord of the Flies. For a moment or two, the forest and all the other dimly appreciated places echoed with a parody of laughter. You knew, didn't you? I'm part of you. Close, close, close. I'm the reason why it's a no-go, why things are the way they are. What lesson is the Lord of the Flies teaching Simon? What perspective is he giving Simon? Here you are, thinking you can conquer nature. Here you are thinking that you can conquer evil and darkness and all of those awful things in this world. But what happens if I, evil, are in your heart? I'm in your heart. What if the presence of evil and wrong and injustice is still present within every heart of darkness? And this quest to eradicate injustice, while seemingly a good quest, would come to die because we wouldn't have the introspection, the recognition of our own fallenness to realize our own limits. And this is the suggestion that's being made by Golding, it's been made likewise by C.S. Lewis and by others. Take a step back. Realize that there are some things that you can do in this world, but don't believe that you have it within your power, humankind, to remake the world a new Eden.